It is a big idea, a new world order.
President Bush said that the New World Order was in tune, and that's what they were working for. The UN is part of that government. They're working right now very significantly for a North American Union. That's why there's a lot of people in Washington that don't care too much about our borders. They have a philosophic belief that national sovereignty is not important. It's also the reason I have made very strong suggestion that we need not be in the United Nations for our national security.
We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
Whether you can see my shirt or not, I'm going to tell you what it says. It says, little boys' lives matter too. And I wanted to do this video today to bring out some things that the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to arrogantly say that their cause is all that counts, and that if you say anything to the contrary, like all lives matter, little boys' lives matter, that somehow or another this is just totally politically incorrect. And you can see that that is the primary part of what the blacks are doing through this movement, is to say we endorse and we support President Obama's philosophies of socialism, so much so that we are going to mandate to the government, and even to you and me as citizens, that we are not allowed, which is laughable, to say to anybody else that you don't have the legal rights to speak out for yourself. That is what socialism is, to control and to limit your abilities to say things to other people. And you don't want to believe it, because most of you are just so passively complacent to accept everything and anything that the blacks are saying now, that it's acceptable to be silent. It's acceptable to give up your individuality and your individual rights to help a cause that is not a cause that is in any way helping anybody. The blacks only want it because they're helping themselves to get publicity. The socialists are endorsing and supporting this philosophy because the outcome of this whole so-called revolution is to create the steps necessary to destroy our Second Amendment rights to bear firearms. And how they're going to do that, I'm about to explain to you. The whole point of them telling us we cannot be individuals, we cannot speak for ourselves anymore, is that it will create such a insightful attitude in individual people that everybody will start lashing out when they encounter blacks on the streets, and them shouting in your face, black lives are all that matter, black lives are all there is, your life is crap, your life is nothing. That then somebody's going to show up one day or another with a gun, because we still have the legal right to protect ourselves and to have firearms. Well, the socialists are hoping before the election that enough people are going to start lashing out with guns at those around them. And then this ass Joe Biden will show up and say, well, this is the first thing I have to do. I have to abolish guns. I have to make a total destruction of the Constitution itself, so that then all the amendments that give people individual rights can thereby be disavowed and destroyed too. And that is why I think you see them being able to tear down individual states as government facilities and government entities within those states, to say they will all have to adhere and bow to everything a black person says to them and tells them. And this thing is just, it's catapulting itself so fast, it's unbelievable. I forgot to say this in my last video, but we're only 6 months now, almost 7 months into this year, 2020, and we've had already 3 specific events now. The first was the coronavirus. Then the second was this revolution that was started about Black Lives Matter. That is not a coincidence that the blacks of all times now decide that they're going to lash out at the police, and they're going to lash out at all of us as American citizens and say, you haven't any rights anymore to say whether or not we can kill you, we can tear you down, we can take away your rights, we can, whatever it is they say they want to do to you, they're now saying they can do that. And the government is sanctioning it. They're giving them that authority to destroy us as people. Now it's funny, the government doesn't have any way really to respond when Americans say we're not going to pay taxes. They can't do anything about that. If you had a global event, especially here in the United States, of people saying we aren't represented by this government anymore because they're taking away everything we are and who we are, so we're not going to pay taxes. So you're going to have the government saying, well, there's so many of them who's now doing this. They cannot do it on a national scale like a retaliatory strike against people for saying we're not going to pay taxes. But I can tell you the outcome will be that the blacks protesting the government's whole agenda of destroying individual freedoms and destroying us as people, it'll backfire astronomically because people aren't going to be paying into the system. And without money, the government can't exist because we are the ones that make it exist as Americans. We pay the taxes to keep them running. If we don't pay our taxes, they don't get anything. And that's what needs to happen. We all should speak out and say, you don't represent us, you don't speak for us, and you aren't doing what we are asking you to do. They're letting a group of individuals who represent the most powerful individuals in government, George Soros, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, they are letting them financially support these idiotic revolutionaries like the Black Lives Matter to the level of saying that they are the only ones that count and they're the only ones that can be heard in society. And everybody else, you, me, we have nothing we can do about it. We can't say anything about it. I say there is something you can do about it. Stop paying taxes. Stop letting the government control you. And you say, you're not going to represent me, and you're not going to stand for what I am and who I am, then you're not going to get any money from me either. Because that means that you don't care enough to hear me out as an American citizen. You're going to let the blacks speak for everybody in this country and say they are the only ones that count. The issues that you see over and over again about them saying we're going to tear down every Confederate monument in the country, they're going to think that's going to bring unity to this country. It's not going to stop with those monuments. When they take down those monuments and they change all the city streets and they try to say, well, we're going to abolish everything about the Confederacy, you got us to contend with, folks. American citizens individually have freedom. And yes, we have brains. That means everything is remembered by us. And that means you can eradicate everything around you in a physical sense, but you can't eradicate it from their minds. That's what's going to happen next. The blacks are going to try and say, we got to take it out of their homes, we got to take it out of their minds, we got to take it off their cars, we got to take it off anything that is not operated or owned by the federal government or the state governments. They're going to go after us individually. They're going to start attacking us and our freedoms to express ourselves through whatever things or memorabilia we contain or we have. This is a Confederate hat on my head. This is Georgia's Confederacy. This is our hat, okay? This is what we used to have on our state flag. See that? That's the state seal of Georgia. And look at that, see? That's the Confederate battle flag. Now they're saying, oh, well, you can't have that anymore. You can't wear that. I'm going to wear mine, folks. You want to take it off my head? You can try to. You're not going to get it off my head. This country is going to take a stand, and whether the blacks like it or not, whether the communists like it or not, whether the socialists like it or not, we are going to stand up for ourselves and who we are, and the blacks aren't going to have nothing to say about it when it's over with, because a lot of people, folks, sadly enough to say, a lot of people are going to be dead when this is over. Because when you start taking away people's rights to say, we now control you, we now control what you say, the overall outcome is not going to be pretty and it's not going to be nice for anybody. I'm going to start posting on every one of my videos the video you saw at the beginning. It's going to show Uncle Sam saying, all lives matter, not just blacks. The blacks see every person that says all lives matter is some sort of a public enemy number one, because what we're saying is that all of us matter, not just blacks, and the blacks don't want that anymore. this is why the revolution seems to be taking off so big and so fast. Because now all they say is all that the media talks about. It's the only thing that the social media outlets let people talk about. Anybody else says anything to the contrary or something the blacks don't like, they're attacking them. They're telling the media outlets, shut them up, close them down, shut them out. Don't let them say these things anymore. See, now you're infringing when you do that on another person's rights. And the blacks are saying there are no rights. It's about us now. It's about our freedoms. It's about our individual rights to protest, to speak out, and that includes tearing everything else out of it. And that means civilization now is totally collapsed because now you're tearing down people's individual freedoms. You're tearing down people's individual abilities to say how they feel and what they feel. And this is what those pothead the millennialists themselves are the crackheads who legalized marijuana. They've legalized fentanyl and heroin and every other kind of narcotic. But the blacks took credit for it, and they've said over and over again, we were the ones that legalized marijuana. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter what you guys legalize. If it kills people, it's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help your own people. Because if people are dead on the streets from overdoses and suicides and anything else relating to addiction, there's not going to be anybody left. This is just like a nuclear war. Nuclear war has one outcome. Everybody loses because everybody dies from radiation. Now we don't have to worry about radiation. We just have to worry about people injecting themselves with marijuana and fentanyl and heroin. That's what the blacks want. That's what communists want. Then they think, we don't have a contaminated country to have to try to decontaminate. They just come in with a couple of bulldozers and shovel up all the dead people who are drug addicts who are dead now, shovel them into a massive grave like they did the Jews. Then they kind of like shrug their shoulders and say, well, that's over, let's start over again. Let's totally destroy everything that's still left. Just tear out everybody and anything the blacks say they don't like. That's reality in 2020. That's why I say to you over and over, if you don't keep President Trump in there, you're going to have Biden show up to tear up our Constitution, burn it, destroy the states, and now call the United States itself the United Socialist Republics. We become the next USSR instead of it being the Federated Federation of Russia. Now it's not going to be anything. It's going to be Biden and socialism and communists saying we are now the new United Socialist Soviet Republics of North America's Union. North America's Union is stated in that opening video too. Rand Paul said, Bush talked about a new world order. He says that is the instigation of the North American Union. The North American Union is the instigation of a global government unified region of unions that represent continents. There's a European Union, there's an Asian Union, there's a North American Union, and they'll all be linked together through a global, international, global system, and it'll all be linked together under a 3-number system, 666. What is 666? In my book, that is Barack Hussein Obama. Obama is going to take over Jerusalem. He's going to show up at the temple that he'll rebuild, and he'll say, I am God, I am going to live here, you're going to worship me, and he'll put an artificial intelligence in charge of all these unions around the world, and he'll tell that artificial intelligence, he'll program it, anybody that doesn't worship me, who doesn't take that mark on my hand or on their forehead, they're dead. Kill them. That's what Barack Obama is going to tell them. The socialists are making it all happen because they're using Black Lives Matter, they're using the homosexual revolution that Obama started in 2008, and it's still going on today. It's the homosexuals you see in these ads by Kroger of this homosexual doing this aerobic exercise crap and all the rest. All of these are direct indicators that the homosexuals and the blacks will make up half of Obama's army of militants around the world, and the other half is going to be the Muslim community, because all they're doing is waiting for the Imam Mahdi to show up. And when he tells them, you kill the infidels, and they'll do it without even questioning anything. And he is their 12th Mahdi. April 2017, they said, and this is the Islamic Brotherhood came out on the internet, and they said, the Imam Mahdi has now been sighted. When they said that, they said, we're going to tell the world on April 23rd. They didn't. Why didn't they say anything? That's 3 years ago. Why? Because Obama told them it isn't time yet for them to know who I am. So he kept it quiet. But he did tell the Islamic Brotherhood. He told the caliphate of all the different nations of the country, of the world itself that are Islam, I am ready to take over, but it hasn't happened yet because there's still one other event that still has to happen. When it happens, that's when Obama shows up. It's called the rapture. When the rapture happens, the Muslims are going to go totally berserk. The blacks are going to totally go ape. And anything left in this country that hasn't already disappeared, and that's going to be the Christians, God's saints, His bride, the church. When it goes, folks, there's nobody left to help you. Obama is going to tell you flat out, you're going to take his mark. That's it. No ands, buts, ors, anything. Then he's going to say, this is now your whole reality. This is now your whole world. You don't think Obama is in control right now of Black Lives Matter? Who do you think gives allegiance to Obama? George Soros gives allegiance to Obama. Hillary Clinton idolizes Obama. She read the same book Obama taught during his college years. It's called Rules for Radicals. Rules for Radicals is a book that was written by Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky was a socialist. He was a communist. He still would be if he wasn't already died. Obama idolized Chavez, who was the dictator of Venezuela. And today people ignore that. They don't want to remember the fact that Chavez is the one that instigated the rule of law in Venezuela that everybody must have an electric car. When Obama became president, he instigated that whole procedure in America. Thankfully it didn't happen, because then there were still enough smart people in control of our country. Now, the communists have squeezed everybody out, except for a select few, one of which is President Trump. He's the only one left. The rest of them give in to everything the communists tell them to do, like Mike Bolden, like Schumer, Schiff, Nader, Pelosi, all the rest of them who are communists. They give in to everything the communists tell them to do. No questions asked. They tell you to do it, they'll do it. Roberts is a communist. He is the highest ranking representative of the United States Supreme Court. When Roberts does whatever it is he's going to do, then the Constitution will be dissolved. And Roberts is going to be the head honcho who instigates it. He's already done everything else for the abortionists. He's already done everything to help the illegals through DACA. He has total allegiance to Barack Obama. And that's what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, very soon. Very soon. So wake up and do something before it's too late. Before it's too late. Do something now. Today.
Where my hobbits at? Play Lord of the Rings.
Play my Straight Out of the Shire playlist.
I want to see the king. Find LeBron.
Search more cartoons.
Play The Last OG.
Take me to the streets. Play Sesame Street.
Me want more cookies.
Find the things you love with the voice command. Introducing AT&T TV with live TV and access to streaming apps. Plug in and watch with easy self-setup. Shipped directly to you.
They've reported from around the world, challenged the powerful, and they bring all of this to every story that breaks.
We've got breaking news, and it's good news.
And touches your heart.
How do you even say thank you? Thank you is not big enough.
I made this.
Survivors.
peculiar thing about this.
You didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. You didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.